Welcome back to another video. Sit back, relax, enjoy the show. MeiaSoQuick with the uploads. Intro's over. Subscribe before you go. Welcome back, it's MeiaSoQuick, and in today's video I'm going to be doing another makeup look for my 90s week, okay? So my face is already prepped. I did my skincare and I got some serum, so it's really sticky, nice base, so I'm not going to go in with any primer today. So first things first, I got so much makeup that I need to get rid of. As you can see, I'm going to be using this black Opal True Even. It's like a liquid foundation. I don't even use liquid foundation, but I'm like, I ain't went nowhere and I refuse to buy new things, and I'm going to use up this stuff that I got. So I'm just going to mix these two colors on a brush, and then I'm just going to go to work on my face. At first I thought like, ooh, crap, you put a little bit too much on, but this stuff is actually really sheared and you can shear it out, and I actually got more of a full coverage with this. So I'm doing a 90s look. So anyone who knows, you know, 90s looks, they were pretty much simple, right? I'm thinking of like your brown eyes, your dark lip, right? Like not too super highlighted, but you definitely had makeup on, right? So it's not like a no makeup look. So I'm just going on with the foundation with a brush. And I'm just gonna go ahead and put that in, and as I said, you're gonna see me kind of blending it in for a while, because I did say that I did put a bit on there and I wasn't even sure what my shade was at this point, because I've been trapped in the house for so long. Like my winter shade is now my regular summer shade, and my current shade is like I don't know, I'm ghostly right now. So this foundation is probably darker than the rest of my body at this point, but it blended pretty cool anyway to actually match. So as you can see, I'm just kind of going to work. You see me looking off to the corner of my eye because I'm like, I gotta see this on my screen. I'm working with a different setup in my room. Hopefully you guys like it. I just wanted some background today as opposed to just white walls. So yes, once again, so I said with the 90s, you know, it was really kind of like effortless looks. Like people had on makeup, but it didn't really, you couldn't really tell, right? Like the skin looked really well. The eye looks were basic. Let's just call it, they were basic as hell. All right, like the exact opposite of the 80s. So once I've got my foundation on, my brush is kind of streaky because I need to throw the brush away, but I'm holding on. So I'm just gonna go ahead and grab this beauty sponge, and I'm just gonna go ahead and pat it into my skin just to kind of get away from any of those streak marks, and just to make sure that the foundation is all even. And I kind of like the finish of a sponge, sometimes a brush. It just kind of depends on actually my mood. So you'll see me actually going to work with this a lot because I was trying to reduce some of that shine, and I have a lot of this shine currently from my sunscreen. Okay, it's very important to wear sunscreen. Don't just rely on the SPF that's in your foundation. I don't even really know how great that is, but I wear SPF even when I'm sitting in the house just because of the sun rays that come through my window. And the sunscreen that I use tends to be a little bit greasy, which is fine for me because I'm dry skin, so that's why I'm looking a little shiny. So next I'm taking this black Opal True Conceal Flawless Concealer or whatever, and I'm going ahead and I'm just putting that under my eyes, kind of somewhat. I can usually use this on days when I don't wear makeup. It's a little bit of a color correcting too, but I'm going in with that one, and then I'm also going in with this Colourpop concealer in dark 40, and I'm gonna also just go ahead and dab that on under my eyes, and then I'm gonna actually go ahead and let that sit for a bit and let it dry, because other than that, if I go right into it, it'll just kind of like disappear because it's really sheer. Okay, so I'll let that dry for a little bit, and then after I dry, I'm going to go in with this little brush. Now I hardly ever actually blend in my concealer with a brush, but yeah, I actually do like it. Because sometimes I feel like when I use a sponge, I take away too much of the product that I just put on there. So you'll see me just lightly dabbing it in with my brush, and to me it worked pretty simple. Like I said, I'm not trying to look super highlighted, because most of what you'll see, like no one had that crazy flashback in the 90s. Like no one was super caked up with the super highlighted under eyes. So I was trying to keep it as close, but without trying to just look like one skin tone, you know, because I'm a brown skin girl. I got like 4 different shades of brown on my face, so I don't want to look like I'm wearing a mask. So once I got that in, I decided that, okay, I'm going to just go ahead and briefly pat that out. And then I decided that I want to add a little bit more concealer. Clearly, I'm going to do it to the high points of my face. So I'm going to do it in the middle of my forehead, as well as along the bridge of my nose, a little bit more to lift my eye, just on the corners of my eyes, and as well as my cupid's bow and a spot on my chin. Nothing too heavy, but just where the light would naturally hit anyway. And like I said, I don't want it to just be like a mask of just one color across my face. So I don't let that one sit as long, but I do let it sit for a bit. And while I let that actually sit, I'm going to go in and I'm actually going to start working on my contour. So I'm taking this LA Pro Conceal in this dark brown. I hardly ever use this, but like I said, I don't know what shade I am, and I'm just going to use these products because I still got them. So I'm just going to add it into the brush that I used to put my foundation on, because this way it'll help me blend a little bit better than trying to just go directly from that little tube, because sometimes too much comes out. So I'm just going to squeeze it out once it comes out onto this brush, and then from there I'm going to go directly onto my face. I'm going to pat it around my forehead, as well as where I usually contour, which I kind of actually have like a natural contour, where my cheekbones are. You can see them. And then I also will do my jawline just to create some shadows there as well, to separate, you know, like my neck from my face. And then I just go ahead and blend it in all together. Not trying to take it too far down, because I don't want it to, you know, pretty come too far down on my forehead. And I got a little probably heavy-handed on this side of the contour, but it wound up blending well once I got to the powder. So I blend all of that in, and then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna pick up my sponge, and I'm just gonna tap it in again. Like I said, I'm just really trying to make sure that the skin is looking good and it's looking uniform. So I pat all that in, same sponge that I used before. Like I said, it just helps with the blend. I'm trying also kind of not probably trying to wash so many brushes. I'm being lazy. All right, once I've got that, I picked up that same brush to go ahead and blend in my concealer and get the little fuzzies off my face or a wandering eyebrow. So I pat that in with the brush, and to me that looks good. As you can see, it's not a super bright highlight, but you can tell just a little bit. And then I blend out the outer corners of my eyes just to give my eyes kind of a lift. I do have a natural, I guess not a cat eye, but it is a natural lift where my eyes kind of slant. They don't actually even close fully, and I just like to go ahead and highlight that on myself. And after I pat in with the brush, I go back in with my sponge and I tap in between where I contour and where I highlighted, just to kind of give it an even blend so that there's like really no harsh lines, so you can't really see where one shade ends and the other begins, that it's all kind of just really blended in. Blended is the key here, guys, in case you haven't noticed. Okay, I left most of this in real time so you can see. I was almost forgetting steps because I haven't put on a lick of makeup in months. I mean, outside of some lip gloss, it's been crazy. I've been working from home, and I gotta say, I gotta step my game up. So I go ahead and I blend out the bridge of my nose. I don't really like contour my nose shape. It's, like I said, it's just really like a highlight, if you will. Like the shape of my nose doesn't look really any different, but I have to put makeup on it, otherwise it doesn't blend with the rest of it. So once I've got that, I go ahead and I blend down my neck. As you can see, the shade pretty much matches really well for what it was, because I think in the past when I've tried this foundation, I've had it because I didn't like how it looked. Like it never seemed to match me, but who knew that mixing the two and being this weird shape that I am now, it works. So good for me. All right, now at this point you can see my skin and you can see what I'm talking about. I'm still a little bit shiny, and like I said, that's most likely just coming from my sunscreen because I am far from oily skin. But I'm gonna go ahead and put on some powder. Okay, I'm going in with this MAC Mineralize SkinFinish in the shade Dark Deep, and I'm just going to go ahead and do that in pretty much all over my face except for the places where I highlighted. And then I just pat it in. I'm not really heavy-handed on this. I don't need to be. I don't like a lot of powder because, like I said, I'm already dry. But it will take just away some of that shine. Normally, I like the shiny, glowy look, but like I said, I'm doing a 90s inspired look, and highlight was not the thing back then. So I'm just going in, and once I've got that, I'm gonna go in with just the shade Dark for my under eye. So I'm taking another Mineralize SkinFinish MAC powder, and I'm just gonna go all the places where I actually highlighted with that concealer. So lightly under my eyes, in the middle of my forehead, and I'll blend that in and just pat it in with a brush. Who are you guys' like icons of, like, you know, 90s fashion? And there were so many different styles going on, and like just looking back at pictures, my style changed completely. I mean, I was definitely a tomboy in the 90s and pretty much up until early 2000, hell, in the half of the 2000s before we got to 2010s. But I definitely was always trying to change up the hairstyles and just playing with a lot of color. And let me guys know who was like a fashion icon for you guys. I definitely know I loved Aaliyah, and like I wanted to be in Tommy Hilfiger and rock that whole type of style. So next I'm going in with this Maybelline Fit Me powder. This is a setting powder that for some reason, I don't know why I got it in such a dark shade, but it honestly works more as a bronzer for me because it's got that reddish tone. Brown girls, black girls, you know what I mean. Half the time you find something and it's always either just too gray or too red. So this was one of those things that was just like really red, but it actually works as a bronzer for me. So if you can't find one, try looking into, you know, just one of these actual different type of setting powders. All right, and it doesn't have like a highlighted like glitter in it too. So this actually works for me when I'm actually trying to bronze my skin, because I don't like a lot of glitter on my face unless it's my eyes. So I'm going ahead and do that, and then I'm just adding a little bit of shadow, little contour on the sides of my nose, nothing too heavy, but just so that my nose doesn't look flat against my face. And I just go ahead and blend that in. And I also make sure that I always, like I said, get my jawline and under my chin. And now I'm going to go in with some blush. I'm using this e.l.f. blush palette. It's for the deeper shades because I know they have a bunch of different ones. But this one has a deep red that I think is perfect for this. It doesn't have any shimmer in it. So just a pure matte red. And I'm just going to dab my brush off. I don't need it to be too heavy. I really kind of want to look like it's like a lit from within, if you will. Like I don't want it to be heavy blush. So just a light color flush on my cheeks going up to the outer corners of my eyes. That's just how blush looks good on me. Like I don't keep it just on my apples of my cheeks. I like to kind of flush it up my face, as you can see, and that just works for me. I'm used to it at this point, and that's just what I do. So next is going to be my eyebrows. Now normally I do eyebrows first. I do eyebrows first because if my eyebrows are messed up, my whole look is messed up. But I was like, you know what? As I said, I'm trying things differently. I'm going out of order. Will I probably go back to do my eyebrows first? Yes, I will, because this is probably the longest it's ever taken me, my eyebrows. But I'm just going in with this little Wet n Wild. It's a pencil on one side and then it's got the spoolie on the other. So I've already brushed up my eyebrows. And now with this, it's kind of like a triangular shaped tip. I'm just going to go ahead and fill in my brows. It looks heavier than I am on camera, but I'm really just honestly using the very pointed tip to actually fill it in. And then once I got that, I'll just use the other end with the spoolie and brush it through my brows. And as you can see, I mean, it's already better. Now, technically 90s, I had like skinny brows. Like I had skinny brows all the way into the 2000s. I don't know who told us like that was cute. But like I look back, I guess it was a style. People had skinny, thin brows, barely there, overplucked. But I wasn't about to be about that life, so you guys are going to see these more of my natural bushy brow. So after I got that, I went in with some e.l.f. Just some brow gel because I couldn't find my other brow gel, so I just kind of took a brush through it. And now I'm going in with this LA Pro Conceal Pro Conceal in Fawn just underneath my brow, just to kind of clean it up a little bit. It really matches well with my skin tone, so I won't look like I have like any halo brows, because we're not doing that in the 2020s, 2021. So you'll see me going there. I go directly from the applicator, and then once I've got it, I just take another little concealer brush, and then I just blend it out, as you can see. Now, for me to be so dry skin, I don't know if anybody else is like this, but I have greasy eyelids, okay? Like just oily eyelids. Nowhere else on my body is oily, but my eyelids, as you can see, they're just oily. So I'm gonna go ahead and wipe those off, and then for the life of me, I could not find an eye primer, and I didn't really feel like looking for it for too long. So all I did was just take a little bit of some setting powder, and I just patted that on my eyes in hopes that it can keep the greasiness, the shine down, and it worked fine. So once I pat that on, I'm gonna go ahead and start on my eyes, okay? So I just didn't want to use concealer because I felt like with my eyelids that would make the eyeshadow transfer a lot. So I'm realizing that a lot of times, unless I'm doing some like super bright looks, that just setting it with setting powder works really well. So I'm going in with this Wet n Wild palette with Rosé in the Air. You've probably seen it in my video before, but I'm using this camel shade, and I'm just gonna go ahead and do that right on my crease and above my crease, and then just blend it out. It's kind of it's pretty much my skin tone, but just maybe a hint of a little reddish in it. But it's really like my perfect transition shade, if you will. Like, it makes anything blended on top just look like really blended to the gods, okay? So I go ahead and do that, and then my next step is I'm going to take a deep chocolate, a chocolate brown. I have a chocolate brown in the same palette, and then I also have this other Wet n Wild palette, which, guys, when you see it, oh my god, I can't even tell you how old this thing is, and we're not gonna really try to figure it out, okay? I'm sure everything has a shelf life, but thankfully nothing on my eyes have broke out yet. So I'm just taking this deep chocolate brown, and I'm gonna go ahead and put those in the corner outer edge of my eyes, kind of like a V shape as I'm angling it down. Once again, just trying to give me that lift, because I don't really want to do a heavy wing, because I didn't really see that in any 90s looks from what I can remember. But I do still, like I said, like the shading of the dark brown just on the edge, as you can see. And that just gives my eyes a natural lift. Now I'm going in with this lighter shade of, it's kind of like a taupey brown, and it did have a little bit of like gold flecks in it, but like nothing that's like super noticeable, because I do really think that more of a matte eye was really in. But if y'all see the flecks, I mean, it is what it is. It's still cute. So I just actually did that with my finger, and I pressed it in, and then I went in with that really deep, almost like a blackish brown on a pencil brush, and I'm just going to go ahead and line my lash line with that, just to define it a little more. Next, I have this black opal eyeshadow duo, and I'm taking the reddish color that you see here, and I'm just going to be going right above my transition, my crease, and I'm just going to blend that in there, kind of as an overall blend. I'll come back to the highlighter that you've seen in that duo for underneath my eyebrows in a moment, but like I said, I'm just going to take this color, I'm going to do it there, and I'm also going to go ahead and blend that underneath my waterline. Nothing too heavy, but I do kind of always, it's kind of a habit at this point that I'm always taking the shade underneath my eye. So that's what you see me doing here. And then I'm also going to take that pencil brush as well and define the outer edge underneath on my waterline as well. Now I'm going in, as I said, with that highlight shade, and I just take a little bit of highlighter underneath my eyebrow. It's nothing too crazy. It's kind of a goldish, kind of, you know, neutral color that I'm applying there. And once I got that, for the most part, I mean, that is my eyes. I decided that I wanted to do some liner, so I'm going in with this LA Girl. It's a dark brown because black was just a little bit too aggressive, okay? So I just went in with this dark brown, which makes it look like a little bit softer, and I'm gonna do my waterline as well as my lash line and just line the top and the bottom with this brown. So once I've got that lined, that is pretty much the whole eye look. I'm gonna go ahead and finish this off with lashes, okay? Anybody who watches me knows that I'm terrible with lashes and it takes me forever. So I'm just gonna do them off camera and boom, what do you know? There they are. Okay, these are the same lashes I use everywhere. I've been using these lashes for far too long, but I only wear lashes like less than 10 times a year. So I'm going in with just some mascara just to go ahead, not even heavy, just to blend in my eyelashes in with these false lashes. And then I'm also going to apply a nice little coat on my bottom lashes, but nothing too heavy. Just a good way to get some separation on my lashes, on my bottom lashes. And I think it looks good. It looks good so far, right? So my next step is I'm gonna go ahead and line my lips, and then I accidentally picked up the same liner I did for my eyes. I realized it once I patted my lips and said, this is a little bit too cool, too grayish. So I went ahead and then found my other one. It's still a brown, but it's got a, like, I don't know, it's a tone that works well from LA Girl as well. And so I'm just going to go ahead and line my lips. I'm sure you guys all remember the super heavy lined lips, okay? I thought about leaving it like that, but then I was like, nah, I'm just going to go with like a dark brown lipstick, a matte lipstick, and that's what I wound up doing. So I'm just taking this, I'm going to take this Ruby Kisses matte lipstick that I have in spicy brown. It's just like something I picked up from my beauty supply store, and I'm just gonna go ahead and apply that. These colors, I mean, these are really cheap lipsticks, but they're really pigmented and they stay on, like they don't go anywhere. So, and they don't, even though they're matte, they're not like super drying, and I have some dry lips, so I just go ahead and put that in, and the applicator is like super easy. I mean, I like the shape of the actual lipstick. I hardly ever, mess up with it. So once I've got that on, that is my lip. And overall, I realized at some point that I actually forgot to, set my face. That's what happens when you don't do makeup for months. So I'm gonna go ahead and set my face with just some setting spray and wrap this video up and finish off this look. Oh, but of course, I gotta address this hair. So I'm taking off this headscarf that I've been using just to tie down, the edge of my hair. I always like to do my edges first, because usually if I try to do my edges after and it gets mixed in with the makeup, sometimes it'll smear, and I just do not like that look. So I advise you guys, if you can, just do your edges first and then do your makeup. And if you miss any spots, you can just go in and blend it in to your hairline afterwards. So there it is. I'm taking down my hair, and of course, I mean, braids, we all wore braids, definitely. I think Brandy wore braids all the time back then. So this is, I'm just going to play with a couple looks with, my 90s inspired look. And of course, I forgot something. So you got to hold on, because what would it be without some hoops, okay? Hoops were everything, okay? Now, these hoops are obnoxiously big. Like, they're obnoxiously big. Like, and I have a long neck, and they still like to rest on my shoulder. But yes, those are my hoops, and it helps just kind of pull this whole look together as far as, being in the 90s. So there you have it. As I said, you can always go back. I realized that my setting spray was leaving like a little bit of like residue on my face, and then I just grabbed a brush to make sure that I kind of blended that in. And these are, this is my look. Tell me, how do you think I did? Do you think it captures the 90s, or does it not? Or, I usually don't wear this much makeup on my face. It might not look like I have it, but I definitely feel it on my face, but it definitely looks cute. And now I'm just kind of like playing around with my hair. And as I said, if you ever, like when you do your edges, I noticed that, okay, I missed a spot. So I'm just grabbing my brush and I'm just going to blend it into my hairline, just to make sure that everything, no one's going to clock me, okay? No one's going to clock me. I got makeup on, but I won't. I refuse to have it where where it starts and where it ends. So I'm just going to go ahead and play with my hair, as you guys can see. Tell me if you know what style I'm doing right now and if you ever rocked this style back then. All right, I'm just doing a nice little bun, and I'm just grabbing 2 little makeup brushes and I just pop that right in there. How many of you guys actually used to wear chopsticks in your hair? I for sure did. I wore chopsticks almost every day, and then you got to pull the little pieces of hair to the front and then just drop them. And yep, that was me. This was my look. Okay, by all means, guys, let me know what you guys think of the video, and I appreciate you guys for stopping and hanging in. And yeah, by all means, feel free to subscribe, and I'll see you guys in my next one. Have a wonderful, wonderful, lovely day. All right, bye.